Today is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. And as usual, we'll give it a few minutes for people to join. Can't believe it's February already. Well, we just got done with one storm and rain all day today, turning into snow, and hopefully we won't get much today. Over the weekend, we had about 10 inches of snow here in East Tennessee, which is a lot. And of course, 7 years ago when we moved here from New Jersey, we left the snowblower and shovels behind. We were like, who needs that? Well, all right, people are starting to join now. I'll give it another minute or so. And as we support and defend the Second Amendment, like I said, I constantly look at gun news and see what's happening in every state, not just my own. I'd like to know the opinion you guys have of this. Judge Jeanine Pirro, she made a statement the other day, and she's now a prosecutor in Washington, D.C. And she made a statement the other day that I found very disturbing. And her statement was, if you come into Washington, D.C. carrying a gun, you will go to jail and maybe get your gun back. Even if you're a law-abiding citizen and a law-abiding gun owner, and you have carry permits from other districts, if you go into D.C. carrying a firearm, you're going to go to jail. I found that very disturbing. And as much as I love President Trump, I'm starting to question some of his choices. Now, I used to love Judge Jeanine, especially watching her on Fox. Very tough woman, and always stood up for the Second Amendment. So I was a little taken aback by her comments. And then you have Pam Bondi, who is definitely not a friend of the Second Amendment. But Judge Jeanine's comments about carrying a gun in Washington, D.C. and going to jail and maybe getting your gun back is really disturbing to me. I'll get right with you there, TC Gunslinger. The Second Amendment shouldn't evaporate when you cross over into other states. This is why we need national reciprocity. You have every state making up their own laws. The Second Amendment is designed to protect us. And like I said, our Second Amendment rights shouldn't evaporate because we cross the state line. So I'd like to know y'all's opinion on President Trump's cabinet member picks, because Um, I, I I'm really starting to question some of them. TC Gunslinger. I'm loving that. I'm loving that, Henry. Um, and I'm really glad I got the 16 and a half inch barrel instead of the 22. Hey, Duke, welcome, brother. Um, I find it much easier to maneuver with. And even with the 16 and a half inch barrel, um, that that octagonal barrel is very heavy. That gun is almost 9 pounds. Um, that's about 3 pounds more than my 16-inch barrel on my AR-15. But it shoots like a dream, and because of the barrel, um, it's got very little recoil. Um, and I just enjoy it. And it's on top of that, it's a gorgeous gun. The dark walnut stock with the brass side gate. So that's that. And I'm sorry if I miss your comments. They do scroll by very quickly. All right, Davey. My opinion on the Rossi R22. The Rossi is actually not a bad gun. It's owned by Taurus. Um, you get what you get. But I mean, for a budget gun, it's pretty damn good. Gundog, and welcome back, brother. I hope you're having a safe trip out there. And I appreciate you checking in there, Gundog, and I can't wait to hear how your Zalissi works. You have a safe trip. Be safe out there, brother. Anyway, back to the Rossi. I have a Rossi 357 Magnum, and it's exceptional quality for the money. The Taurus is Taurus. It's either hit or miss. You either get a good one or a bad one. I have a bunch of Taurus revolvers that I would put up against anything. They're excellent quality. Their semi-automatic pistols are touch and go. I have a G3C and a GX2. I haven't had a single issue with them. But there are a lot of people that have problems with them. Problem also with Taurus is that their customer support really sucks. Well, yeah, the TX22 is supposed to be a very good gun, but it's not going to compare to like the Ruger Mark IV. It is what it is. It's a budget priced gun, and you're getting a budget priced gun. No, I disagree there, Duke. Customer support doesn't suck everywhere. I've had very good support with Springfield. I've had very good support with Colt. Yet I have the 357 Tracker, 7-shot. It's a great quality gun, no question about it. It almost looks like the Smith & Wesson 686, but their semi-automatics are touch and go. Unfortunately, they're never going to get rid of that bad rap they have from back in the 80s when they turned a lot of shit out in Brazil. They had a whole PT series. They had nothing but trouble with them, and they discontinued them. I think they've come a long way. The G3 is a pretty good gun for the money. Again, that's the thing about the Taurus. You got to look at it as for the money, it's good. However, if you're willing to spend $150, $200 more, you can get much, much more of a gun. But if all you have is $250, $300, it'll do. The Sig P322 is a great gun, and I like Sig regardless of the bad rap they have. I still have my Sig Sauers. My Sig P320 X10 Comp is one of my favorites. So, like I was saying earlier, I'd like to know your all opinions on the statement made by Janine Pirro, the district attorney or the prosecutor in Washington, D.C. Avery Thomas, if you want a higher quality gun, I could tell you there's a lot of guns out there. If you're willing to spend, $500, the Springfield Echelon, outstanding. The Hellcat Pro, outstanding. Smith & Wesson M&P, outstanding. The Rugers, it opens up a whole new world once you get over the, $300 price range. The Ruger RXM, and that's the other thing. The Ruger RXM, in my opinion, is the best pistol on the market for the money. I like the Hellcat Pro. That's what I carry at work. Ozzy, welcome, brother. But for the money, and the Ruger RXM is about $400, but trust me, that's not a budget gun. It's a fantastic quality gun. But like I always tell everyone, and the Glock 19X is a great gun, but it's overpriced, and like I said, I would never buy a Glock again after they sold out. They discontinued all of their guns and came out with the V series and the Gen 6. As far as I'm concerned, I think Catherine Glock is going to run that company right into the ground. And because they sold out, I'll never buy another Glock again. But if we're talking about money, see, you could see when you look at a Taurus where they chinced and where they went cheap. There's nothing cheap about the Ruger RXM. Hey, Mike, there's nothing wrong with the RXM at all. It's got features that a lot of the more expensive guns don't have. Comes optic ready. It's got a tritium front night sight. The grip module from Magpul is outstanding, and it's $400. And if you were to buy a Taurus and you decided you want to put an optic on it, and now you're going for the Toro version, you're up to $300 and something. Might as well just go buy the Ruger. And it's made in the USA with a lifetime warranty. I'm jealous, Mike. I'm jealous. I'm still going to get one of them eventually. Smoky Mountain Guns and Ammo is only about a half an hour from here. And I was looking at the Smith & Wesson FPC 10 millimeter, and I think I saw it for $579. It fluctuates between $579 and $600. I could definitely see me getting one of them. I just have to be patient when I get my revenue and save it instead of just going out and buying a gun. Yes, do that, Mike. Send me a picture. I'd love to see that. I do have a concern because the gun is light. I have the 9 millimeter version, and it's a lot of plastic. And I know the difference between the Smith & Wesson and the Kel-Tec 2000 is that the Kel-Tec has a polymer feed ramp, and the Smith & Wesson has a stainless. But I'm just wondering how that Smith & Wesson 10 millimeter is going to hold up. That's a great deal, Mike. I feel you, Duke. That 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 pistol purchasing in New Jersey is brutal. New Jersey's horrible. They destroyed that state. I mean, my wife and I lived there our whole life. It was a great state growing up until Governor Free Stuff Murphy got elected, and then he destroyed it. And now Mickey Sherrill, she's going to be worse. Smith & Wesson Magnum 44. For what, Dave? It's definitely not a carry gun. She is going to be worse. She's already going after the gun owners again and making up more ridiculous gun laws. Good for you, Dave. I just hope you never have to use it. It's a lot of over penetration with a 44 Magnum, even with hollow points. And, New Jersey, since they started issuing carry permits, they're actually going backwards and they're losing gun rights. They're still going back and forth over assault weapons and magazine capacity and sensitive places and where you can and can't carry. And now, my understanding from a new law I read is that they're trying to push a bill through now where if you have a negligent discharge, you'll be charged with a felony and you can serve up to 18 months in jail and you'll lose all your gun. Yeah. The difference, though, Ozzy, is that New Jersey doesn't make believe bad things don't happen there, like Chicago. I think the mayor of Illinois is the biggest dumbass in the country because they claim how strict it is to buy guns and how tight their gun laws are. And then you see how many people get shot and killed over a holiday weekend in Chicago. And it just boggles my mind. And by the way, that dumbass governor of Illinois also allows undocumented immigrants to become police officers, which violates federal law. So, anyway, now that we have more people on, I'll bring up again what I mentioned earlier because I really want to know everybody's thoughts on this. I love Judge Jeanine Pirro. I love watching her on Fox. She made a statement the other day that I found very disturbing, being that she's a prosecutor now in Washington, D.C. And she not basically, these are her exact words. If you carry a firearm in Washington, D.C., you will go to jail. Maybe you'll get your gun back. Even if you're a law-abiding citizen and a law-abiding gun owner and a permit holder in another district, if you go into D.C., you will go to jail and maybe get your gun back. I find that very disturbing. I always thought she was pro-Second Amendment, and it's really making me starting to question President Trump's picks. I love the man. I voted for him twice. I'd vote for him again. But I'm really questioning some of the people he's chosen. Just like Pam Bondi. She's not our friend either. She hasn't done anything. Matter of fact, the whole administration has done nothing for our gun rights since they came into office. And that concerns me. And because of the comments that Jeanine Pirro made about if you walk into D.C. carrying a gun, you're going to go to jail. This is why we need national reciprocity. The Second Amendment rights shouldn't evaporate because you're crossing the state border. But they do. And something needs to get done about that. I've been trying to find out. So it was supposed to be January 28th. Our representative, Diana Harshbarger, is championing a bill for prohibiting landlords from telling tenants that rent apartments, offices, buildings, any type of dwelling, that they cannot possess firearms or ammunition. And that is awesome. I never thought of something like that, but if for some reason you need to rent an apartment, you should be able to defend yourself. And right now, landlords do have the right to prohibit tenants from owning and possessing firearms and ammo. So I'm hoping that when this bill gets heard, that it passes. It already passed the Senate, and we do have control of the House and Senate in Tennessee. So pretty sure it's going to go through whenever they just keep. The problem with those things is it's not a high priority, so they just keep pushing it off on their calendar. No, they don't care about federal law, Duke. See, this is the problem. Even if we had national reciprocity, these democratic states are going to do whatever they want to do, and they don't care if they get sued. They'll tie it up in the court for years. Have some new people on this stream today. Welcome and glad to have you. We do this live stream every Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock p.m. and every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. And we do this because you guys asked for it. There's no set agenda. We normally discuss firearms and Second Amendment related topics. I agree with you, Ozzy. And it's not just D.C., by the way. I check the laws in every state I'll be going to. And my wife and I, we strategically plan our routes when we go on vacation. If I can't carry my gun, I'm not going. However, when we were coming home from, I think maybe we were in Pennsylvania, we were coming home to Tennessee, and we thought we were going to bypass Maryland. And for some reason, the GPS had us go through Maryland, and it was only like 11 miles. But I had a loaded Glock, and I was speeding. We were on the bike, and I saw lights go on behind me, and I said to my wife, we're going to go to jail. And I looked at my mirror, and he blew by me, and I was like, thank God. This is another reason why we need national reciprocity. You're riding a motorcycle, and it reroutes you through a state you can't carry in, but you're on a motorcycle. There's nowhere safe to just pull over and take your gun off. And if I would have got pulled over, I would have wound up going to jail. That's just bullshit. Especially when, think about it. The fact that you could go to jail for breaking the law, for carrying a gun that's your right under the Second Amendment, it just blows my mind. And another thing you need to be aware of is that some red states are becoming blue. Virginia used to be a great state for firearm owners, and look what that lunatic is doing. And that lady's a lunatic. She's going after Virginia gun owners with both barrels, and she's trying to outlaw every firearm she could think of. And, unfortunately, I don't know why, but these people voted for her and they got what they voted for. But the thing I still can't understand is that if you're a gun owner, why in hell would you vote for a liberal? As a gun owner, why would you vote for people that are going to try to take your guns away? It doesn't make any sense. Also, for you new people here, if you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate that as well. Yeah, and that's the truth too, there, Duke. Um, there are a lot of purple states, and you're seeing more and more, even in Republican states, and we have them here too. Um, they're really rhinos. They're not true Republicans, and we have them in Tennessee. Matter of fact, I think our Governor Bill Lee is a rhino, even though um, he passed the bill to allow constitutional carry 2 years ago. Um, the main reason I think he's a rhino is that Tennessee had this bullshit gun law called the intent to go armed, which technically means anybody that's carrying a firearm is breaking the law. Um, I doubt that it can be enforced, being that we're a constitutional carry state, but they tried to get the law off the books and they won. And Governor Lee and the Attorney General are now challenging and they're appealing. Now, why would they do that? I find it odd that our governor, who passed a bill allowing constitutional carry, is going to appeal a bill to remove ambiguous wording. Uh, I don't know. I mean, maybe there really are no more true Republicans anymore or true Democrats. It seems like everybody's off the rails, one side or the other. There's no more middle ground. And I think on both sides, everybody's just extreme. I mean, when you think about it, JFK was a good man. He believed in God. He believed in the Second Amendment. There is no way he would run as a Democrat today with these lunatics. And the funny thing about the Democratic Party right now is John Fetterman, the guy with the brain damage, has got the most sense out of all of them. I just find that pretty ironic. I've never voted for a liberal, and I never will. Um, and I'm sure, you know what? I'm sure they have the same mindset. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's the great thing about living in America. You have the right to choose. Um, they have the right to vote for libtards, and we have the right to vote for Republicans. So, um, there's nothing wrong with that. By the way, this is a pro gun coffee mug. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. And on our channel, we have a store button that's got pro gun coffee mugs and pro gun t-shirts. We don't make any money on them. We sell them at cost. Matter of fact, they get shipped to you directly from the company that makes them. We don't even get involved. I only had them for myself, and I had a few people ask me if they were available. So I put them out there and made them available to subscribers. I agree with you, Duke. And the funny thing about it is that when that nurse in Minnesota was killed, all of a sudden, the liberals are supporting the Second Amendment. I don't understand. They try to take our Second Amendment rights away, but because he had a gun on him and he did have a permit to carry, now they're all for the Second Amendment. You know what? First of all, if you're carrying a firearm and you have a permit to carry, the guy did not break the law by carrying a firearm. The guy did not break the law by carrying a firearm to a protest. However, he used bad judgment carrying a firearm to a protest, because think about it. If you say to yourself, you know what, I think I'm going to that protest today, but just to be safe, I'm going to bring my gun and 45 rounds of ammo. Maybe you just shouldn't go to the damn protest. Or if you do, you go stand across the street and you hold up your sign. Now, this whole thing could have been avoided, right? He could have stayed in the basement of his parents' house and pet his cats. But my point is, he did not break the law by carrying a firearm. They didn't even know he had it on him. He didn't break the law by carrying the firearm to a protest. However, if you're carrying the firearm and you're committing a crime, that changes everything. And when he got in between federal officers trying to do their job, he now became a criminal carrying a gun. The governor and the mayor, I agree, they should both be put in jail. However, I have mixed feelings about the whole thing. I've seen the footage, and now they've identified officers that shot him. The guy did not deserve to die. He was never a threat. He was on the ground, and when he was on the ground, by the way, they shot him 10 times. And I'm not saying he deserved it, but it could have been avoided. Why put yourself in that position in the first place? And like I said, he didn't break the law carrying a gun. He didn't break the law carrying a gun to a protest. But he broke the law interfering with federal officers. And now that makes you a criminal. And I think once you become a criminal, your permit to carry a firearm is null and void. Yeah, I agree, Duke. Yes, the governor and the mayor broke the law too. Any governor and mayor that are trying to hinder ICE should be put in jail. They're insurrectionists. There's no excuse for that. New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill, she's another dumbass. She's encouraging people that live in New Jersey to take videos and pictures of ICE. Now, I also saw yesterday something that they're doing in Minnesota and I understand it's a Somali neighborhood. Now, this is disturbing because you're going to see more people dying if they keep this shit up. So apparently, they set up a bunch of checkpoints in this town, and they are stopping vehicles, recording people, and running license plates, which means they're having help from somebody. How the hell are they running license plates? They're running license plates, and they're trying to identify ICE officers in vehicles. You know what? And they're wearing masks. So first of all, you're a dumbass You're going to stop a vehicle that has ICE agents. You have a mask on. I'm sorry. Then if they put a cap in your ass, let's reverse the tables a little bit, okay? You had the dumbass governor of Arizona say people are going to die because we have a castle doctrine law that allows you to use deadly force when you fear for your life. And we have ICE agents who have masks on and aren't always identified as police officers pointing guns at people. And if you feel your life is in danger, you should have the right to shoot them. Okay, well, now, you know what? It should work the other way. If you're an ICE officer and a civilian is wearing a mask and he's stopping your vehicle, you don't know whether he's going to shoot you. I'm sorry. That's crossing the line. And they should all get shot. I agree with you on that, Duke. And it's all the governor of Massachusetts, the Asian woman. She's a lunatic too. No, the liberal media tries to demonize ICE, and they have to. Think about it. The liberals are the ones that allowed all the illegals here that are committing crimes, raping women and children, committing murders. They opened that floodgate. Shits and Giggles did that. When we had Creepy Joe and Camel Toe Kamala, they did this. And because they know what happened as a result of their actions, they're not going to admit they made a mistake. So what they're going to do is they're going to demonize ICE. And that's the problem. ICE are federal agents. Where the hell does a governor of California, Minnesota, New Jersey, where the hell did they come off telling the president of the United States what to do? He should be telling them what to do. The states don't have power over the federal government. You also had the district attorney of Pennsylvania saying that they were going to arrest ICE agents and put them in jail and seek the longest jail time for them. Good evening, Jibba. Good to see you again there, brother. You know, I'm all for people to be able to protest. That's the great thing about this country is we choose to believe in what we want to believe, worship what we want to worship, etc. However, what these people in Minneapolis are doing, that's not protesting. I'm sorry. That's just being a vigilante and being a terrorist. When you protest, you go on the opposite side of the street, you carry your sign, etc. Protesting is not running over ICE officers. Protesting is not interfering with federal officers trying to do their job. Protesting is not publishing the names and addresses of ICE officers. And that's the reason a lot of these guys are wearing masks. Because these liberal mayors and governors are encouraging people, and they're videotaping and they're taking photographs of ICE officers, and they're posting their addresses and phone numbers, putting the agent, his family, his children at risk. Now, I'm sorry, but none of these people are protesting. When I turn on the news, and even the liberal news, you don't see any peaceful protests. They look for any excuse to burn shit down and loot, commit crimes. That's not protesting. I'm sorry. And when you're stopping a federal officer from arresting people, that's aiding and abetting. That's not protesting. And I support ICE and our law enforcement officers. I love those guys. They put their life on the line for us every day. A week or so ago, Tampon Tim had the National Guard giving out donuts and hot chocolate to the protesters. Paid protesters, by the way. You notice these protesters don't have jobs? That is their job. They're paid antagonists. That's their job. They don't go to work like we do every day. That's why they have time to fuck around and do this stuff. I agree, Duke. There's a lot of setups and ambushes. I just don't understand how people can demonize law enforcement officers from doing their job and keeping people safe. I just don't get it. I mean, there's enough documented evidence on how many criminals have come in crossing the border. And it's like a revolving door. They go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Some of them never even serve jail time because you have a lot of these liberal states, they don't even have bail, for Christ's sakes. I read the law on that, Rusty. And ICE does not need a warrant if they believe that the criminal will flee before the warrant is issued. And, you know, especially to get a warrant from a liberal judge, are you kidding me? They do not need, they're federal officers. They don't need a warrant if they strongly believe that a dangerous criminal is going to flee before that warrant is issued. And I agree with that law. It's got nothing to waive amendments. First of all, if you're an illegal and you're in this country and you're in this country committing crimes, you don't have any amendments. The amendments apply to us. Doesn't apply to criminals who aren't from this country. Think you're missing the point there, Rusty. The point is that if you're in the country illegally, you don't have any amendments. You broke the damn law. You know what, Rusty? I agree. You know, we don't live in a perfect world, okay? There's police officers that have busted down doors and it was the wrong house. In some instances, busted down the door and shot people, and it was the wrong house. And you're never going to fix that. There's never going to be a perfect law enforcement. But for the most part, I still think most police officers are good. Um, I don't think there's, a high percentage of police officers. It's a law of large numbers, okay? Just like insurance. I agree with you there, Jimena. Good point, brother. Um, I'm sorry, I digressed. So it goes based on law of large numbers, right? Just like how insurance companies come up with their rates. If you have a police department that's got a huge number of employees, well, the odds are going to be higher. They're going to have more corrupt police officers. But in general, I don't believe most cops are dirty. But these ICE officers, in all fairness, for months and months have had people taunting them, throwing shit at them. Thanks, Jibberda. I appreciate that, brother. Publishing their names and addresses and phone numbers. I don't know. As a law enforcement officer, you don't know what you're going to face. And when you have governors and mayors antagonizing people and encouraging people to attack ICE and police officers, that's just crossing the line. We're never going to live in a perfect society. There's always going to be good and bad. But to encourage it, that's another story. And protesting, I remember when I was young and they had the riots in Paterson, New Jersey. It was racial riots. I was very little. And the mayor ordered the National Guard to shoot anybody that came over that bridge. And I like to think we've come a long way since then. I don't think people are pretending it's fine, Rusty. I just don't know what the balance is anymore. Like I said, they're so extreme one side to the other. There's no more middle of the road. There's no more common sense. Everything has got to be extreme left or extreme right. I mean, why can't we all just get along? It's just never going to happen. I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, yeah, it would be all lollipops and unicorns and rainbows, but that's not the world we live in anymore. I would like to see everybody kiss and make up. But that's not going to happen either. And I guess that's true. I guess if you're middle of the road, you're going to get thrown into one side or the other. I guess, if you're middle of the road, it's like crossing the street. You're going to get hit with something. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, fortunately, I'm not a politician. Well, that's a good point, and that's the problem, Duke. You see, there are no consequences. You know what? If ICE was all over my neighborhood, I'd be pretty damn happy because I got to tell you, I'm pretty sure we got a lot of damn illegals out here. But there's no consequences. See, you have these liberal states that have no bail. Um, when I was a kid and we used to screw around, I was just afraid of the cop putting me in the cop car and taking me home and explaining to my parents what I did. And now there's no consequences. People loot, they interfere with police officers. They don't go to jail. They don't get anything. They have no bail. They riot, they burn shit down. Nobody goes to jail. Look at what Tampon Tim did when they had the George Floyd killing. They burned down the frickin' police department. Who the hell allows that? Nobody went to jail. But yet on January 6th, they put people in jail that were not a threat to anybody. Look what Governor Murphy in New Jersey did. His last day in office, Governor Murphy in New Jersey let a woman who was serving 100 years in prison for burning her two toddlers to death out of prison. He released 36 people that were serving time for murder, and he released them on his last day. Yeah, I'm not kidding there, Jabba. You can look that up. Governor Murphy in New Jersey, on his last day of office, released a woman serving 100 years for burning her toddlers to death, along with 35 other murderers. But you got to remember, this scumbag Governor Murphy, he let people out of jail the last election so that they can vote. So I don't understand why. You know what? I'm a data guy, and I love analyzing data. And it's very difficult when you look at data, and I've been a data analyst for 40 years. Data, it can be very easily skewed. And that's the problem, is that, if you look at the data and you drill down, the data doesn't always reflect what's really happening. I'll give you, for instance, if you look at the data from the Center of Disease Control on firearms-related deaths, they'll give you a number of, say, 1 million people died of firearms-related deaths. So they make it sound like 1 million people are shooting each other, right? But as a data analyst, when you break it down, that 1 million people, 67% of that is suicide, okay? But now that number drops down drastically. Now, out of that number, you have workplace violence, you have domestic violence. That takes more people out. What's also included in the number of people killed with firearms every year are people killed by law enforcement. So when they start throwing these numbers out, you can't believe any of them. People can't be that stupid and believe that shits and giggles allowed all these illegals into the country. They can't possibly believe that they're all here and they're all law-abiding citizens, right? It's a revolving door. They commit crimes, they get sent back. Nothing happens, they come back here. They'll rape somebody, kill somebody, get sent back and forth, blah, blah, blah. Do these people, I guess what I really don't understand about liberal logic is that they encourage violence. The minute you don't agree with them, you're a racist. Do they really think they're making this a safe world for their children and their family? Yes, unfortunately, race does have something to do with it. We like to make believe racism doesn't exist, but it does. I see it a lot. It's not right. I don't like it. I wish we didn't have it. But I think it's something that's always going to exist. It's come a long way. But yes, I think racism has something to do with a lot of things. I like to believe, like President Lincoln said, that all people are created equal. I have friends that are Black, Hispanic, Asian, from different countries. I don't see them any different. And it's funny, and I guess because where I grew up in Paterson, New Jersey. And Paterson, New Jersey had a lot of minorities. And as a kid, I played ball with them, never had a problem. And I never, when I was a kid, I never thought of them as different. We just played as kids, right? That's a great question, Jesse. Would I deport my friends? I don't know the answer to that. Is that almost like the don't ask, don't tell law? Okay, let me rewind. All right. I would deport them if they were a criminal and I knew they were a criminal, or if they were dangerous. Hey, Carl, I think it's time for you to go back into your parents' basement. All right, see here. Yes, that's what I was saying earlier, Nikki. Virginia, that lunatic governor is trying to ban any pistol and rifle that's capable of ejecting more than one round. She's going to basically, in the middle of the night, with the swipe of a pen, she's going to make everybody a felon. That's one way to take their guns away. The there's a difference between being a foreigner and being an illegal. I don't have a problem with people from other countries coming here if they do it the right way. My dad came here from Italy. He went through the right channel. A lot of people did it the right channel. What? Everybody's lazy now because it's not easy. You got to learn the freaking language. You have to take a test. Well, you know what? If you want to live here, you should know how to do that. So I'm just saying that I don't have a problem with anybody from another country coming here if they do it the right way. That's all. Just do it the legal way. Well, I'm hoping that all these crazy things this Virginia governor is trying to do gets shot down in the Supreme Court. But again, this is why we need to have national reciprocity. I agree, Duke. It doesn't matter where people came from. It's the fact. Yeah, here's the ironic thing. They came here illegally, okay? They're already a criminal just coming here. Forget about the crimes they commit when they get here. You come into the country illegally, you're a criminal. And then on top of that, you're already a criminal, and then you're committing crimes. So, yeah, they should be in jail. And Luke Speedby, hello to you. I see we got a bunch of new people on today, and it's a really good thing, and I appreciate having you all. We do this live stream every Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. If you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate that. And this is an open forum. We discuss firearms and Second Amendment related things. I encourage argument as long as it's respectful. Actually, arguments are pretty good. It helps you learn and grow. I've learned to maybe pay attention to somebody else's point of view because we were having arguments, and that is okay. You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to mine. However, it works both ways. If you're going to say something to me, and then I say something back, and then you get butthurt, and then you start getting nasty, that's on you. I agree with you, Jimmy. I agree with your statement. Yes, Ted. I have a claw on my holster for my Glock 19X. It doesn't really, you won't even notice the difference on a small pistol, Ted. But on a large pistol like a Glock 19X, absolutely, because the claw does is the reason it prints is because the grip sticks out like this, right? But the claw pushes against your belt and it pushes the grip closer into your body, and it definitely makes you print a lot less. You see, here's the problem. All right, Luspita, goodbye. Yes, Jibita, I love that GP 100. I got to tell you, I did a review. I compared it to the Colt Python, and you know, the Colt Python is like $1,500. It's twice the cost of the GP 100, but you're not getting a gun of half the quality. Let me tell you, that GP 100 is built like a tank, made in the USA with a lifetime warranty, shoots just as good as my Python. Yeah, it doesn't have the bells and whistles like the Tritium Night Sight and the G10 grips, but that gun is no slouch. And a lot of people don't have $1,500 to spend. But like I said, buying that GP 100 at half the cost, you're not getting a gun of half the quality. Well, you see, this is the thing. The liberals doing with the free stuff, they're doing like Hitler did. You make the people dependent on you, then you disarm them, and then you have them controlled because now you can do whatever you want because they depend on you. But definitely, an unarmed society can't fight back. You're giving them free stuff. So almost like what Hitler did, right? You're giving people jobs and money, housing. Yeah, Jupiter, that GP 100, I'm telling you, brother, that is sweet. It's a absolutely gorgeous gun, and it is built like a tank. That thing is built more heavy duty than my Smith & Wesson and my Colt Python. But, when you start giving free shit away, and it's not free. Yeah, that GP 100 is a beautiful looking gun. Doesn't have the same polished finish as the Python, but it's also not a $1,500 gun. New York City, the mentally ill cannot own or possess a firearm, which is kind of ironic because people in New York City, they voted for a mentally deranged mayor. So, but the point is, the liberals like the free stuff, okay? But it's not free. People that have jobs and go to work every day are paying for it. It's not free. But you give free stuff away, you take guns away. Now you're controlling the people, and now they're like sheep and they'll do whatever you want. So, all right, guys, we got 5 minutes left. Yep, Child of Perdition. I have my Colt Competition Plus Government Model 1911. That is a beauty gun. Yeah, don't get me started with the 1911s because, hence Pro Gun 45. Destroy 777. I'm not a fan of the 2011s, to be honest with you. Sarita, welcome back. Good to see you again. Yeah, Dribble, I'm not a fan of Kimbers, to be honest with you. I always wanted one. I got a Kimber Custom 2, 1911 and 45 ACP, and it jammed like every other time. I'm not a fan, personally. That's just me. Some people love them, some people hate them, but I'm not a fan. And good to see you too, Sarita. However, in all fairness to the Kimber, I've learned over the years that there's only two magazines I would use in a 1911, and that would be the Wilson Combat or Chip McCormick, which, by the way, Chip McCormick is now owned by Wilson Combat. And maybe I should have tried different magazines on the Kimber. Okay, Jibita. I'm going to get right to you, Sarita, and I'm going to get right to you, Dave. Jibita, a good brand for your first 1911 would be a Springfield. The Springfield Garrison is a good one. When it comes to a 1911, actually, I did a review on the Ruger SR 1911. You may want to watch that. It's a great quality gun for the money, but when it comes to a 1911 in particular, don't chintz. Save your money, even if it takes longer, but you're not looking for a bargain with a 1911. Sarita, 10 millimeter versus 45 ACP. I love them both. However, the 10 millimeter may have more stopping power, but the 45 is definitely more controllable. I could shoot 4 or 5 consecutive rounds accurately with the 45. 10 millimeter takes a lot of practice. You're welcome there, Jibita. Glad I could help. Don't get me started. Like they said, don't get me started with the 1911s. David, sorry, brother. The CZ10C, P10C is a great gun also. I love CZ. They make great guns. Yes, there are two-legged wolves everywhere. All right, guys, we got 1 minute left. I want to thank everybody for joining. Jack, before we end this, yes, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I did a few reviews on the Ruger RXM, and in my opinion, the Ruger RXM is the best pistol you can buy for the money. I put that up against my Glock 19 any day. 10 millimeter 45, it's got nothing to do with any one being better than the other. And thanks, Ted. I appreciate that. I really appreciate my moderators for helping me put the liberals back in their parents' basements. And for those of you who have politely argued, I appreciate that as well. Thank you, Jibita. Thank you all. I appreciate this. I really love the relationship I have with you guys. We learn a lot from each other. Even arguing is a good thing. Anyway, for those who haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. And for those that are new to this and just joined the stream, we do this every Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, and every Saturday at 12 noon. We're going to be ending the stream now, so I thank you all. Appreciate it. Love you guys. Till next time. And watch all the videos you can.